What convinced you to stick it out one more year? It wasn't the pay. It wasn't the benefits. Honestly, it wasn't even the rank. I was ready to leave. My bags were half packed. My paperwork was sitting on the desk. One more signature, and I'd be done with the uniform forever. Then came a knock on my door. Private Miller, 19 years old, standing awkwardly in the hallway. He was holding a busted pair of boots with the sole peeling off. He looked embarrassed, like asking me for help was the last thing he wanted to do. "Sergeant, you know how to fix these?" I laughed, because I did. My dad had taught me how to mend shoes back in the garage when I was a kid. I grabbed some glue, some clamps, and we sat on the floor fixing them. While we worked, Miller told me he hadn't spoken to his family in months. Didn't know if he wanted to stay in either, though maybe he wasn't cut out for it. That night we ended up talking for 3 hours. About family, about why we joined, about what scared us. At some point, he admitted, "If you leave, I don't know who I'd go to." The words hit me harder than I expected. I'd always thought my job was just about making sure missions ran smoothly, paperwork was done, and nobody got hurt. But in that moment, I realized something. These kids, because that's what they were, needed more than a sergeant. They needed someone steady. Someone who had seen the bad days and stayed long enough to explain that they passed. The next morning, I signed the paper that canceled my out processing. 1 more year. Not for the Army, not for the pay, not even for me, for Miller, and for every kid like him who just needed a reason to believe they could stick it out too. That year was full of small moments that reminded me I made the right call. Teaching a private how to cook with nothing but an MRE heater and instant noodles. Helping another write a letter home after 3 failed drafts. Watching a kid who could barely run a mile finish his first 5K and grin like he'd just conquered Everest. They weren't victories the world would clap for, but they mattered. And somewhere in the middle of all that, I realized staying wasn't about me holding on. It was about giving them something to hold on to. I didn't just see soldiers anymore. I saw sons, daughters, brothers, sisters, kids who needed someone to tell them that quitting too early steals the chance to grow. By the end of the year, they weren't just leaning on me, they were leaning on each other. And that was the real win. Looking back, I almost laugh at how close I came to walking away. One knock at the door changed everything, and I'll never forget that. And you know what? That year turned out to be the best one I ever had.